Hello beautifuls, this is a practice for those of you that might be experiencing a tender, sensitive, achy spine right now. But if you're not experiencing that, then that is really good news, and this is still just a lovely practice. We'll take a pretty conservative approach today, so we'll keep the spine neutral and move around the spine, melting and mobilizing the shoulders and the hips. So not irritating the spine, just looking to mobilize around it. And also, of course, inviting that slow, smooth, steady breath to facilitate circulation, which is always helpful for recovery. So we'll use something like a scarf or a yoga belt or something else as a strap today, and maybe also a blanket. I'll see you on the mat. Okay, beautiful ones, let's begin on our backs. Have your strap nearby. We'll come down gently and lay on our backs with our knees bent and the soles of the feet on the mat. We'll take a couple of moments just to arrive. Every particle of your being arriving on the mat, and your awareness spreading like liquid sunlight through the whole body. So there's a whole body awareness. Rest your hands today on the front of the pelvis. You'll feel the hip points beneath the palms of the hands. And notice what's present for you. And if you are experiencing a tender, achy spine today, acknowledging that, right? Not needing to avoid or bypass that, just acknowledging it. And also allowing the awareness to shift to other parts of the body that might be experiencing ease or peace or openness, and acknowledging those too. Seeing the whole picture, seeing things as they really are. So we'll begin today by finding neutral spine, because we'll be maintaining neutral spine today. Not that we need to always keep a neutral spine. Of course, we can move the spine through all of its different degrees of movement, forward folding, back bending, twisting, etc. But today's practice is to keep the spine pretty neutral. So with the hands resting on the front of the pelvis, just gently, as much as is reasonable for you, press the lower back down into the mat, and you'll feel that the pelvis sort of rolls backwards. You'll feel the movement under the hands as the pelvis rolls back and the lower back presses down. And know that this is not neutral. This is coming out of the natural neutral curve of the lower back. And then let's go the other way. So when you're ready, start to lift the lower back away from the mat, and you'll feel the pelvis tilt the other way, roll forward beneath the hands, and arch the lower back away from the mat, sort of exaggerating or accentuating the arch of the lower back away from the mat. And you might, if that's okay for you today, go a little bit back and forth between the two. So you feel how it feels to not be in neutral. And then when you're ready, we'll find about halfway between the two. Find your midpoint. Just right. And that will be neutral today. So the lower back isn't pressing down into the mat, and it's not overarching away. There's just a gentle curve, a gentle lift or arch of the lumbar spine away from the mat in its natural curve. And let's keep the right leg as it is. Keep the spine now, maintaining it in neutral, and pick up the left foot, take your strap and bring the strap around the ball of the left foot, reach the foot up towards the ceiling. We'll start to mobilize now through the hips a little bit. Start pretty conservative with the foot further away from the face than you might be used to, right? Maintaining that natural curve of the lower back, and we'll reach the right leg along the mat. If it's too much to stretch the right leg long on the mat, then keep the right knee bent and the sole of the right foot on the mat. And if it's available for you today, and it might not be, you might gently start to draw the left foot towards you, maintaining a neutral spine. And you'll know when you've come out of neutral if you draw the foot towards you and you feel the lower back pressing down into the mat again. Then you'll allow the left foot to go a little bit further away from the face until you feel yourself returning to that natural lumbar curve. Let's bring both ends of the strap into the left hand to the top of the right thigh or right hip, and gently open the left leg to the left. I like to rest my left elbow on the floor here, giving me a little bit of extra stability. And we don't need to open the leg so far that we feel like we're going to roll or topple all the way over to the left. So the back of the pelvis on the right side stays anchored and we've still got a neutral spine. We'll lift the left leg to center and switch hands on the strap. Right hand to strap, and gently guide the left leg across the body just a little, maybe 30 to 45 degrees. And the back of the left hip is still on the mat. And let's take the left hand and hook the left thumb into the top of the left thigh and just gently press the top of the left thigh away from you towards the bottom of the mat. And let's return to center. Release the foot from the strap, bend the knees, soles of feet to mat, and allow the hands to rest on the lower belly. And here's where we can start to weave in that slow, smooth, deep breath. So as best you can today, be patient and compassionate with yourself, encouraging the movement of the breath towards your hands, watching perhaps a gentle rise of the belly on the tide of the inhale and a fall of the belly on the tide of the exhale. And then when you're ready, let's move to the second side. Take the strap, lift the right foot up, bring the strap around the ball of the right foot and reach the right foot up towards the ceiling. Maintaining your lovely, natural, neutral spine, let's reach the left leg long. Shoulders can be heavy, arms can be pretty straight, hands holding the strap, and just the weight of the arms is what really pulls the leg. Both ends of the strap into the right hand now. Left hand to top of left hip or thigh. Gently encourage and open the leg to the right. So we're easing into the back of the hip, back of the leg, the inseams of the leg which join up into the hip, and the outer seam of the leg here. And gently to center, and let's switch hands on the strap and guide the leg across the body to the left. We won't be rolling all the way over to the left side today into a twist. We're keeping the spine neutral, keeping the back of the pelvis anchored on the mat. And when you're ready, hook your right thumb into the top of the right thigh and just gently guiding the root of the thigh, if you like, the top of the thigh away from your head towards the bottom of the mat. And we'll come back up to center. Release the strap, bend the knees, soles of feet to the mat. Pop the strap off to one side, and once again, hands to the lower belly. You might close the eyes even here, relax the jaw, and just as best as you can today, directing the breath, or rather the movement of the breath, towards the hands, as though the epicenter of the breath right now is beneath your hands as they rest on the belly. And after your next exhale, raise one arm overhead, gently roll to one side, and you might use that arm as a pillow for your head. Bring the top hand to the mat in front of you, press down and gently draw yourself up. Let's come forward onto all fours, hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees hip width distance, and see if you can return to neutral spine again. So we won't arch through the lower back as though we're coming into a cow pose, and we won't round through the spine as though we're coming into cat today. Not that that's a bad thing to do, it's a lovely thing to do, but today we'll stay nice and neutral. So it's this feeling of length almost, crown of head reaching forward, tops of thighs and sit bones reaching back. And then maintaining that beautiful stability in the spine, let's pick up the right hand and reach the right arm forward without dropping the head. And then when you're ready, reach the left leg back and lift it up, maintaining that stability and neutrality of the spine. And you'll find if you lift the leg too high, you'll start to arch a little through the lower back and come out of neutral. So the left leg doesn't need to be any higher than the left hip today. One more in breath. And then we'll exhale, release right hand to mat, left knee to mat. Neutral spine. Pick up the left hand, reach the left arm forward. Notice if the head or the neck drops here, and keep lengthening the crown of the head forward. When you're ready, reach the right leg back and lift the right leg no higher than the right hip today. Tuning back into your breath. One more in breath. And as you exhale, left hand to mat, right knee to mat, back to tabletop. Let's step the hands a little further forward of the shoulders now. Tuck the toes under and lift into a bent knee downward dog. We'll keep the knees bent here today so we can keep the spine neutral and long. And downward dog is so beautiful and wonderful actually for experiencing length through the spine. It's almost like this elongated decompression of the spine as you press the mat away through the hands and lift the sitting bones and the tops of the thighs up and diagonally back, diagonally up and back into the space behind you. One more in breath. And exhale to lower the knees to the mat. This might be where you use your folded blanket or not, just depends on your knees. Mine are a little tender at the moment. And we'll step our right foot forward between the hands and come up, hands in prayer in our lunge or Anjaneyasana. And we'll use the lunge today to open through the front of the hip and thigh. The hip flexors, if they're tight, they can really cause problems for our lower back. So shift your awareness to your back foot right now. It can be tucked or untucked, but with intentionality, gently, firmly press your back foot down into the mat. And then bring your awareness to the buttocks or the left glutes and gently but firmly squeeze them. Keep the back foot pressing down and the left buttocks firm, and then maybe shift the hips just a touch further forward and down. We'll hook the thumbs and reach the arms. And as we reach the arms, there's this real feeling as though the arms are lifting the full circumference of your rib cage, front, sides, and back, up out of the lower back. Take one more in-breath. And then exhale, hands to the mat. Let's make our way back to another bent knee, downward facing dog, just for a breath or two. And exhale to lower the knees, left foot forward, second side. Hands to heart center, awareness to the back foot. Back foot gently and firmly presses down, and as soon as you do that, you might start to feel already an opening through the front of that right hip. That's sort of what we're looking for right now. And then an engagement of the right glutes, the right buttock. That might increase the sensation of release through the right hip and thigh. Hook the thumbs the other way, if you can remember. Reach the arms. Returning to smooth, slow, deep breath, whatever that is for you today, right? It's always different, every day a little different. One more in-breath, and we'll exhale, hands to the mat. Step back into a bent knee down dog. And we'll keep the knees bent and gently walk the hands back towards the feet. You might take your blanket out of the way now. Keep a nice deep bend of the knees as the hands arrive towards the feet. Torso's almost really laying on the tops of the thighs here. Crown of head reaching forward. It's like you're in an Utkatasana pose with the belly laying on the thighs. Hands to the hips. Keep the long spine, press into the feet. And we rise to stand. Beautiful. Let's turn towards the long edge of the mat. Step the feet out nice and wide. Turn our right toes forward, our left toes in a little. And as we come into warrior two legs today, bend the right knee, but also bend the left knee and sort of alternate between the two as you slide the pelvis a little bit side to side through space. And then when you're ready to enter into warrior two legs, you'll start to straighten through the back leg, the left leg, hug the outer left hip in, lift the right hip up as you bend the front knee. So now the pelvis is level rather than a little bit tilted to the side, practicing warrior two like this, which is how we can often practice it when we start practicing yogasana. So outer left hip hugs in, right hip lifts up. Interlace the hands. Let's get to the shoulders a little. Reach the palms forward and the arms overhead. Arms lift up. Rib cage lifts. Spine is long. Release. Cross the left arm in front of the body. Hook the right arm underneath. Release, reach the arms, bend the right elbow, left hand to right elbow. Gently draw the elbow back towards the center line of the back of the skull. And release, interlace the fingers behind you. Reach the knuckles back and down. And then we'll straighten through the right leg. Release the hands to the waist. Right toes in, Left toes turn forward, switch sides. Left toes turn forward, back toes in a little. Start to settle into warrior two legs. Play a little bit with a pulse, if you like, between front and back. Front knee and back knee. Soft. And when you're ready, we glide towards a bend in the front knee. Back leg firms. And outer hip of the back leg hugs in as the left hip lifts. So the bowl of the pelvis is level and upright, and let's say there was water in the bowl of the pelvis, it's not pouring forward over the front leg. It stays in the bowl of the pelvis. Interlace the hands, turn the palms forward and reach the arms. And with a level pelvis in warrior two, your spine emerges graciously, gracefully up and out. And as you reach the arms overhead, there's more length here. Ah, how delicious. We'll release, cross the right arm in front of the body and hook the left elbow underneath. Let that go, reach the arms overhead, bend the left elbow and gently draw the elbow behind you with the right hand, and notice if the chin drops. We'll keep the chin parallel, pretty parallel with the floor. Release and interlace the hands behind you one more time. Reach the knuckles back and down. Maybe the legs shake a little, and that's okay. And then we'll straighten through the left leg, hands to the waist, left toes turn in. And you feel the big muscles of the legs have been working and helping to, like pumps, to facilitate circulation. Heel toe the feet in towards one another. Step the feet hip width distance. Relax the arms, and just for a moment, sense this beautiful plumb line, if you like, of the head above the rib cage, above the pelvis, standing tall. And now let's turn towards the top of the mat. Feet underneath your hips. Reach the arms overhead. Rib cage lifting, front, sides and back. And then take it nice and slowly today. You might take a few breaths. Nice deep bend of the knees. Maintain a beautiful long spine. Hands to the mat. Step your way or find your way, however is most comfortable for you, back to bent knee downward facing dog. And lower the knees to the mat. Beautiful. Let us play with just one plank pose, maintaining a neutral curve of the spine, but building a little bit of strength around our neutral spine. So from all fours, step your hands forward of the shoulders. We're going to take a long plank today, so a different variation of plank. And when you're ready, step your feet back into plank. Now, if this feels like a lot of stress for you in the body-mind instrument today, you can lower the knees to the mat and take a modified version instead. So choose your medicine, press the mat away through the hands, and see if you can find neutral here, not needing to tuck the tail under today, not over lifting the sit bones and collapsing. Continue to press the mat away. Maintain that neutral spine, that sense of lengthening the top rim of the buttock back towards the back of the mat. And if you're still here with me, one more breath. And on the exhale, lower the knees. step the hands under the shoulders for a moment so you can adjust the knees as wide as your mat. Big toes touch. Slide the hips back towards the heels and reach the arms forward into a wide-kneed child's pose. Resting in child's pose. A handful of breaths. And the wide-kneed child's pose is a lovely way to enjoy child's pose and maintain length through the spine. One more breath. And on the next in-breath, lift the head, walk the hands in. Let's make our way back onto our backs. Nice and gently, easy does it. And this time as we come back, let's separate the feet as wide as the mat. Allow the knees to fall in towards one another. And the hands, one more time, just resting on the belly. Just as we did at the beginning of practice. Take a handful of breaths, maybe 3 or 4 here, directing the waves of the breath or the movement of the breath towards your hands. Taking slow, smooth, deep breaths. And wherever you are, as best you can, encouraging the epicenter of the movement of the breath towards the hands. And once again, notice what's present in the body. And if you are experiencing discomfort in the back or the spine, acknowledging that. And noticing what's present in the rest of the body. Acknowledging that too. Allowing yourself to hold the whole body in your awareness for a moment. To see things as they are right now. Thank you for sharing your practice. Peace, peace,